This is a Cordy 261 James Bond Aston Martin DV5 restoration. This model was produced between 1965 and 1969, starting with the film Goldfinger. In some ways another strange Corgi decision, because as we know in the film the car was silver. I'll start the turntable a moment. Later in 1968, Corgi brought out their Model 270 of the 007 DB5 in silver. It was slightly larger. Interestingly for all you Bond devotees, Ian Fleming in his book Goldfinger has Bond drive a DB3. And it's the only time the secret agent drove an Aston Martin. Mostly his choice of transport was a Bentley. Although according to Aston Martin experts, what Bond drove was really a DB2/4 Mark III, not a DB3, as that was a racing car. This model, as you can see, is in a sorry state, but all parts are available. On initial examination, we see a replacement roof is needed and the bad guy figure who goes in the seat there. The ejector seat seems to be intact. Very often the top part of the seat is missing, that part just there. The rear shield is working and the front overriders. I'll just stop the turntable a moment and show you. There's the back plate that comes up. You just click it down. It's the exhaust pipe that actually makes it work. And the front overriders, there we are. Just click them back in like that. So they're working, but the ejector seat obviously isn't. It's jammed, so we'll have to take the model apart. The suspension is in a poor state, and I suspect the chassis inside is broken because there in effect is no suspension on the rear wheels, and the fronts aren't terribly good, so possibly the chassis inside is broken. Next thing to do is strip the model down and have a look inside. As these models are reasonably complicated, a good idea might be to take pictures as you go along. The DB5 is now stripped to its component parts. As suspected, two of the suspension arms are broken and missing. That's here. There should be arms on the plastics chassis unit there. And the retaining clip that holds the ejector seat in place when you don't want it to be ejected is broken. There should be an arm coming off there that holds that seat in place. That's missing as well. The new parts have arrived. Here is the chassis unit with the four arms that goes on there, and the new ejector seat retaining arm, which is quite small, and that goes on the bottom of the seat area. It goes on there. So I've got to take what's left of the old one off. And it's operated by the lever on the base plate. That's the one that operates the ejector seat when it's all back together again. The new roof and the new passenger, or baddie, or whatever you want to call him, has arrived. So we have all the necessary parts now. So the next thing is to put the body shell into the caustic soda to remove the old paint. I don't see any particular damage that needs repairing on the body shell, which is good. So it's just a case of repainting it, which will be done in Ford Aztec Gold, which I find quite good. Although it's slightly darker than the original, I think it gives a good finish. I generally do use undercoat, but some people prefer not to. So that's a question of taste, really, or experimenting. Also, the tyres have gone brittle. They start breaking up like that. So the 3 on there are no good, so I will have to replace the tyres as well. But other than that, everything seems to be okay. The window unit is reasonably good, just needs a clean up, and all the other components are okay. The body shell and the roof have been sprayed, and the new chassis is located on the base plate. That's the plastic right there. And the locating arm on the ejector seat is now in place. That's the lighter red piece there underneath. Now, to reassemble, you need to make sure the releasing levers on the base plate are in the open position. So this is the base plate. These levers have got to be right out, like that, when you come to put it back together again, else it won't work. You should be able to hold the model together to make sure everything works before gluing and clamping. With the gluing, make sure you don't glue the exhaust. This is the exhaust, this little piece here, which goes there. Make sure you don't glue the exhaust as well, because this needs to release the rear shield. It's better to glue on the outside to avoid this happening. So you need to glue there rather than trying to glue it from the inside where the glue might go over to the exhaust. So, reassembly. Here is the Corgi Bond DB5 all back together and working. I won't demonstrate the ejector seat, as the camera will never pick up the bad guy flying through the air. Here he is, sat in the seat. Sometimes, although I did not have to on this particular model, I have to, because it clipped together very well, sometimes I have to clamp the body. I will show you on another one I have on the go at the moment. I'll stop the turntable a moment and take the DB5 off. This is how I clamp the bodies. I'll put it going again so that you can see it from every angle. This is how I clamp the body back together if it's not tight on the original stump of the rivet. If you use, it doesn't mark the paintwork, usually if you use a very flat peg. But if the peg has got ridges in it, it will mark the paintwork. So you've got to have a very flat peg for the clamp to clamp on the actual bodywork. Cut. Here's a DB5 with its boxes. A good idea is to put a piece of cardboard inside the plinth to tighten it up. I'll just remove the main box and put the piece of card inside there, and it tightens the plinth up nicely. If you enjoyed this video, please click and subscribe.